So good afternoon everyone. Today we will start with discussion of your UPSC 2024 essay paper, and most probably we will finish the section A because we have to discuss the strategy also. Briefly we will discuss the strategy. So otherwise we will cover the last essay of section A tomorrow, right? So one thing from the paper is clear, that UPSC is still sticking to the philosophical essays, right? They have not changed their stance. Still quotes are coming which are very different from the technical essays which we usually cover. It's not like your usual education related or technology related or women empowerment related, very different. Just one essay, social media one, is still doable if you check, right? So as UPSC has maintained its pattern of asking quotes in your UPSC paper, so it becomes very important that now you cannot ignore this essay paper. It's not like before that, okay, if something on women empowerment will come, I'll write on my own, right? Or if some simple topic will be done, I'll see. I'll probably prepare 1 month before the exam, 2 months before the exam. Philosophical essays need proper preparation. Philosophical essays need proper structure to write it, right? Because without that you will be clueless, right? Because we are not philosophers here, right? We don't know how to interpret these quotes, right? And how to write them in a manner that it is relevant for UPSC examination. Today, very briefly, we will try to understand first how to approach, because there might be students who have not attended the essay class before. But I would suggest that after this class, just go back to the group and check the full-length video which is there on the essay strategy. Although we will discuss in detail today also. So when we are talking about essay, start of essay, you have to remember this, that start of the essay has to be interesting in nature, right? It cannot start from a definition, it cannot start from a data, right? This essay, when we are writing, we want to engage the examiner. We want to write in such a manner that examiner has a curiosity that what this person has written on the next page now, right? So anecdote, the literal meaning of anecdote is a interesting account of something. Right? Now this interesting account can be a fictional story. You create two characters. This will become more clearer as we move further in our essay keys. Some fictional character you create and you write down your essay anecdote, right? Or something from any leader's life, any personality's life. A real life account in a story form. If you might have seen the newspaper editorials, in newspaper editorials they never start with the definition, they do not start with a some kind of facts or something. It's always something interesting to read. Same thing should reflect in your UPSC essay. Even if you today go back and see toppers essay copies, everybody starts with an interesting account, right? So that should be your first point. We will discuss with respect to different essays today that how the stories can be formulated. Now here, when we are talking about start of the essay, please don't start with another quote. This is one one mistake you don't have to do in your essay. They've already given you one quote. Don't put another quote explaining that particular thing, right? Because it's like somebody asked you a question and then you again asked a question to that other person, right? Quote cannot be started with another quote. Probably between the essay you can include certain points, right? You can write about different quotes in the body of the essay or at the end. That's totally fine, but don't start your essay with a quote because they've already given you it in the question. Here always try to write an anecdote, an interesting start. Then in your philosophical essays, after you have written anecdote, right? Now the anecdote will be connected with the body of the essay through a connecting line or lines, which should be in the form of thought-provoking questions. Right? Which you will be addressing in your further essay as you write down the next 6-7 pages. Right? So this anecdote gives a bird's eye view in an interesting manner about the essay, and this connecting part, it sets the tone of the essay. These are the areas in which you can expect I will be exploring my particular essay. Right? Now, in your philosophical essay, next comes the body of the essay. Now, how to attempt body of the essay? That's the single most problem which students are facing. How to expand this code? How to understand this code? That is the major problem. So first, you have to remember that first part of your essay will be the introduction part, right? Where you start talking about what is the meaning of this code in almost half a page or 1 page. Just the generic meaning of the code, what you have understood from this particular essay, right? That is the simple thing you have to do it here, right? We will discuss through the key. Just the meaning of the quote, right? Say in one of the previous year's paper, the question was the hand which rocks the cradle rules the world. So you just write down the basic meaning, that hand which rocks the cradle here means the socialization process will decide what kind of adult individuals we are producing, right? The people, the mother who is taking care of the child will decide the future discourse of any nation, any society. Right? So elaborate it, its meaning, break down the terms, right? That if I'm talking about a hand which rocks the cradle, it doesn't just mean mother, it means anybody who is taking care of the socialization. So that should be elaborated in half page or 1 page as you are comfortable. And this part is very important because one philosophical quote can be interpreted in different manners, right? Until and unless the basic theme remains the same. You might stress on one particular thing more, other person might stress on one particular thing more, that's okay, right? So this introduction part now would directly tell the examiner how you have interpreted the quote, and that is very important, right? Because your next 6 pages, 7 pages will be in accordance with the meaning which you have given. Right? So it should be crystal clear to the examiner that this is the manner in which I have understood this quote, this is the theme of the quote, right? And any dimension which I will be discussing in the further pages will be according to this basic theme, right? Now, next what you can do is to add little more depth to your essay, you can give certain historical context to it. Say taking again example of hand which rocks the cradle rules the world. So here you can talk about examples from the history to convey that the role of socialization is very important, right? From ancient history, from medieval history, from the British era, from the world history, just to create depth in your essay to convey to the examiner that I can relate the topic, right, in the evolutionary form, in the history form also, I can create a connect, right? So this will be the next part of your essay, and this is not necessary. If you can think, it's okay, right? Usually if you think a little hard enough, you will be able to remember, but if you forget, there's no harm in that, it's okay, right? Now next part comes the major part, right? Here historical part, again 1 page or little more than a 1 page, right? That's more than enough. Anecdote, when you are writing, restricted to your 1 page, and in the next page you can take 1 paragraph where you write down these thought-provoking questions, right? Now After this comes the main battle, right, where you have to elaborate the quote now, right, where you have to explain the examiner different aspects, right. So now one thing which you can do here is, right, which you should remember is ask yourself questions, right. Say for example, one essay which we'll discuss today is there is no path to happiness, happiness is the path, right. So now here ask yourself question with respect to this quote. Questions will be, what is happiness, right, why is happiness important, right, what does happiness lead to, right, what is the path to happiness, right, or the happiness itself is a path. And last question will be that happiness is a path also, it is a goal also, right. So take up that quote, ask yourself questions, right, ask yourself questions in the form of why, what, where, when. And I'm not saying all these concepts might be used, all these questions might be posed. At least 2 or 3 questions will be posed in between while you are discussing, right. So ask yourself, read that quote, that can I frame any questions with respect to the keywords which are given in the essay along these terms, right. Say for example, there was this previous year question was there that history is a account of your scientific man winning over your romantic man. So now here one question which you can pose is, who is a scientific man and who is a romantic man, right. So essay, when you are talking about philosophical essay, it is basically breaking down different meanings, right. Think yourself as a philosopher, think yourself as a teacher, right. Think, say for example, take account of Lord Buddha. There used to be lot of, his disciples used to be there. They used to ask him questions. What is happiness? What do I do to achieve happiness? Why I am not happy with the material possessions? So like this, multiple questions. Or always I give this example in the class. Treat yourself as a child. You talk to any child, you ask him one question, he'll ask you 10 counter questions, right. You give him one answer, he'll again ask something, you'll give one answer, again he'll ask something. Similar things should be there in your philosophical essays. That the quote which is given, you have to explore around multiple dimensions, and the multiple dimensions can be this, your 5W and 1H model. Frame your questions in this manner, right. Once these questions are done, right, now within these questions, now think of examples from Pessel approach. What is happiness, right, or say what is a good socialization? Can you think, now question is what is good socialization? Now think examples from political aspect, economic aspect, legal, right. So within these questions, you will include different dimensions. And this is just one way. You can think it from the individual society perspective also. Right? And after you are done posing these questions, say at least 2 or 3 questions can be generated if you follow this model, right? And even outside this model, and whatever models I am discussing, they're not exhaustive in nature. If you can add something from your side, you can very well add, it's okay, right? Now, apart from this, one exercise you have to do is, you flip the code. Flip the quote means an antithesis. Say for example, in the same essay, Hand which rocks the cradle rules the world, you write a perspective where you say, what will happen if good socialization is not there? You have flipped the quote. Quote was just talking about good socialization, how it will create people who rule the world. Now you have given an opposite stance where you are discussing the quote in opposite manner. Right? Say for example, one quote, one essay is, the last essay in the section A is, the doubter is the true man of science, something like that is there. Right? So now the antithesis or the flipping of the quote, the question which you will pose, that is excessive skepticism is also bad. Right? So you're flipping the quote, you are asking a counter question, right, which is totally opposite to the theme. Right? Say for example, to make it more clear, one of the another quote in previous year question was that, ships, are safe in harbor, but this is not what ships are made for. So this quote, you had to discuss how you have to move out of your comfort zone, right? How you have to face the challenges. Sitting at home in your comfort zone, you will never achieve your true purpose, your true potential. That was the thing. Right? Now, the opposite antithesis, or when you flip this quote, the dimension will become that can there be certain areas where we actually have to sit in our comfort zone, right? Where we have to take a rest and then we move out of the comfort zone. That is, it cannot be that we are always outside our comfort zone, we are always fighting, we are always struggling, right? That is not the case. Take example of Indian independence movement. It was all about struggle, true struggle. True spirit was where we sat in the comfort zone, where we prepared for the future freedom struggle movement, right? So it means you are telling in your quote something which is different from what is the basic theme. Now with these dimensions, writing your philosophical essay becomes very easy. You ask yourself questions along these lines when you read the quote, and we will discuss the essays in this manner only. Right? First, you will take because usually in my class I give 10 to 15 minutes because we have paucity of time, we have just 2 classes. Just take 2 minutes, think of the questions which can be posed in this particular essay, right? And then we will discuss how to address these questions. And make it a point, not just discussion today, every Sunday you pick up any topic, may it be from PYQ, may it be from any site, try to pose yourself question, just the question that this is the quote in front of me, this is the meaning, what are the different dimensions along which I can capture the various dimensions here, where I can elaborate this particular quote. This exercise will help you a lot. Otherwise, writing philosophical essay becomes a difficult task, right? It becomes little difficult to elaborate in 1000 to 1200 words. Right? It becomes little, there are many times you have paucity of content. You don't know how to move forward from here, that you have written the meaning. How do I explain in a greater form here? Right? So, for this, certain mental exercises in the form of mind maps will be needed, because whatever essay we discuss here, or if you are attending any class, it's not that only those essays will come. There will be so many essays, so many combinations which can come, right? So how to be prepared for it? You do practice every Sunday. Don't take your essay paper lightly, right? Essay paper is something which will pay you a lot, right? More than the GS papers, more than the optional, essay will pay you a lot with very little practice, right? You don't have to study multiple books, you do not have to go through different websites. Just do this exercise, right? Be attentive in the next 2 classes, right? You are very much capable of writing philosophical, shed off that fear that, okay, how to write these quotes or how to understand these quotes, right? So today we will start with the section A and we will try to understand how to move forward. So I've prepared full length keys, right? Not just the guidelines, the full length keys are there. You will get it on the group. Right? But today focus here, try to understand how to move forward, what are the different dimensions which can be discussed. Right? Now the first essay